Yeah, there we go. Okay, so hi, uh, good morning, or I guess in my case, like good evening. What's up, you guys? Check this out. We're doing something a bit unscheduled for tonight. Well, morning for me, night for you guys. What we're gonna do for tonight is that, we're back to painting. Oh yeah, don't freak out. All right, I already did the whole hand reveal thing, like what you call it, about 2 days ago or something. So yeah, we're gonna continue painting and stuff. So that's it. Um, what else? What else? Well, we're aimed in. Usually it's a Sunday morning for me, but that means it's a Saturday night for you guys. And the thing is, half of the metro's flooded right now. We just had a storm, and for some reason it's simply not stopping. It hasn't stopped raining for almost an entire week. So we're reined in, and we just canceled our regular Sunday games because here's the thing, right? We sort of have a very large community. Not that large community, but basically we have a very active community. That's how I'm gonna describe it. We're like spread over several LGSs, and my LGS or local game store usually plays on Sundays. And the thing is, the streets are flooded right now. And yeah, for everyone's safety, we just canceled it. So now, instead of just wasting my time bed rotting, might as well get to painting. So get to painting, and we might try something different because why, like, right now, here's the thing, right? If we have like time, why don't we get to an audio book? Hold on. Like, what's this, like the second installment in the book? I'm trying to basically check it out right now. SD Perry, was it SD Perry? Because depending on how my back feels, we might actually go to our regular schedule. Because last time we did a Warhammer 40k story, and then we did a Night of the Living Dead story. So roughly, it took us about 3 hours. But check this out, right? SD Perry's rendition of SD Perry wrote several books. He had a rendition of what you call it, Resident Evil, and they're all available here on YouTube. So if if my back can actually take it, why don't we try we might actually try and get it for tonight. Of course, our regular schedule is that we get to the whole full 3 hours. But the thing is, my since we have the entire day, might as well go for it. So hold on, let me just prep it up. Let me just prep it up. Uh-huh, that should do it. I live in the Cove. Okay. Sorry, I already tackled the first book, which is the Umbrella Conspiracy. It's here on YouTube if you guys want to see it. So yeah, for tonight we have the Willow Wishline customer care customer service hotline. Hold on. Just realized something. Our radio screen isn't up. Yes, there we go. So yeah, we're gonna tackle 3 stories for tonight. That's the Willow Wishline customer care, customer service hotline, and then the dark truth about Imperial Recaff, because as if the world didn't suck enough, even the coffee has to suck. And then whatchamacallit, after that one, we have Resident Evil Caliban Cove complete audiobook. So yeah, we have a lot of materials to get through, so why don't we have at it? And again, you guys, here's the thing. Okay, before we go on with this, check this out. Uh, we're gonna try and get back to our regularly scheduled programming, painting, reacting to videos and other stuff. Actually playing games, because later we're going to play whatchamacallit. We're going to play Rogue Trader. We're gonna try and get back to our regularly scheduled programming. I already have like several videos on deck for editing. It's just that I really have to finish this right now because the tournament is for next week. And yeah, some people have already have already messaged me about borrowing some of my units. So here we go. Again, you guys, like it if you do, and subscribe. For our first story, the Willow Wishline customer care, there's a very popular film right now called Obsession, where a guy wishes that this girl is obsessed with him, and so he makes this joke wishbone thing toy, and apparently it comes true that she falls so madly in love with him that she thinks of nothing else. And well, the story, well, this is not exactly a new story, but the lesson of the story is that careful what you wish. I remember I had a professor back in my undergrad. Don't call it moral of the story. No, morals are for the Bible. Call it lessons. So anyways, we have the Willow Wishline customer care, customer service hotline. So helpline. So imagine the Willow Wishline wish box thing, or the one where you hit, where the one where the guy breaks it off before he makes his wish. They actually have a helpline for that. So again, like it if you do, subscribe. Links of the description are down at the bottom, okay? Here we go.
Every one of us has wished for something. A second chance, more money, better health, more time with someone we've lost. Sometimes it's nothing more than a passing thought, something whispered to ourselves before we sleep. Other times it's the kind of wish we'd give anything to see come true. And tonight, something is promising exactly that. No one seems to know exactly where One Wish Willow came from. Just a simple product, resting quietly on a store shelf. Inside the box are simple instructions. Break the willow, make one wish,
Make the willow,
and wait.
Make one wish.
Some people never open the package. Others throw it away without a second thought. But others discover their wish came true, and not always in the way they imagined. Tonight, we're not following the customers. We're listening to the people answering the phones after the wishes have been granted. The complaints and the regrets. Before we answer tonight's first call, please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Man, you guys.
It helps keep our customer care line open for everyone searching for strange signals. And if you'd like to support the project a little further, you'll find a few ways waiting for you in the description. The customer care line is open.
24/7.
So, turn off the lights and settle in. The transmission starts now. Thanks for calling customer care. This call may be monitored or recorded. How may I help you today?
Hi. I'm hoping maybe you can answer a question for me. I don't really know if this is a compliment or... I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to understand what happened. I bought one of your willows about 6 weeks ago, and everything seemed fine at first. I thought it hadn't worked, but now I'm not so sure.
I'd be happy to discuss your experience with you, sir. Could you please tell me what wish you made?
My wife has had depression for years. We've tried therapy, medication, everything her doctors recommended. I hated seeing her like that. So when I got the willow, I wished she'd smile again. That's all I wanted. Just one genuine smile.
I understand. After you made your wish, did you notice a change?
Yeah. The very next morning, she smiled when she woke up. Biggest smile I'd seen in years. I actually cried because I thought maybe this thing really worked. She smiled throughout breakfast, smiled while getting ready for work, smiled all the way out of the front door. I thought we'd finally gotten our life back.
I guess if you're grasping at straws, anything will do. Because here's the thing: if you see something that says it can make your wish come true, would you actually believe it? Of course not. I know, as any rational human being would, of course not. But if you're grasping at straws, the only thing you have left is faith, I guess, if that's what you call it. So, yeah, you will grasp at straws, and you will actually take that chance. Can't blame the guy.
And when did your concerns begin?
A couple of days later, I realized she never stopped smiling. Not once. She smiles while she's doing the dishes, while she's driving, while she's sitting on the couch watching television. Last week, her mother called to tell us her brother had died. And she just kept smiling through the entire phone call. Tears running down her face.
Yeah.
But that same smile never moved. She says her face hurts. She says she's exhausted from holding it. But she isn't.
Have you guys ever tried, being on duty to smile on being on desk duty where you have to smile? Because I remember during my internship for my undergrad, we sort of worked as an usher for this particular event. And of course we had to smile and my cheeks were killing me. I was on duty for like 37 hours and like 18 of that I was in the front desk. I was a door greeter and I remember my cheeks were killing me, the pain of just keeping up that smile. And it hurts.
Holding it. The doctors can't explain it. They tell her to relax her muscles. And she keeps telling them she's trying. At night, she falls asleep smiling. She wakes up smiling. I don't think she's actually been happy once since I made that wish.
Unfortunately, based on what you've described, it does.
He worded his wish wrong. He should have said, cure her depression instead of just, I guess he was being metaphorical when he made the wish because, his wife has had depression for years, so he was being metaphorical. He just wanted her to smile again, but the problem is he was making a wish, and you have to be specific. There's like a video of this, a comedy video of this about, a guy negotiating with a genie of how he will basically word his wish. It's like, I wish for $1 million. No, not Zimbabwe dollars, American, something like that. So, anyways, they were negotiating as to how to word his wish, so he would actually get his wish and not something sordid. The lesson about this particular one is, number one, of course, careful what you wish for, and number two, just don't. I guess it's supposed to be a religious lesson in a sense that you're only meant to trust God and not whatever this is, because most of these things almost always end up as evil. Just like the Ouija board. Anyways.
It does appear your wish was granted. I'm unable to alter or reverse wishes once they've taken effect.
Yeah.
I don't want to reverse the wish. I want my wife back. I I'd rather she cried every day for the rest of her life than whatever this is now. She doesn't even look like herself.
So the call center agent is aware of the supernatural implications of their product? This is interesting.
Anymore. She just sits there, smiling at me.
So you'd like to cancel the wish?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. We don't do that. Have a good evening.
That was it, right? So this guy is aware, the dude is aware about the supernatural implications of their
Thank
product.
you for calling
That's
One Wish
interesting.
Willow customer care. This call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance. How may I help you today?
Hi.
Hello?
Honestly, I don't even know if I'm calling the right department. I bought one of your willows a few months ago. At first, I thought everything was exactly what I wanted. I even laughed about it for a while. It seemed too good to be true. But these last couple of weeks, I don't think I understand what my wish really did anymore.
That's all right, sir. You're not the first person who's called with questions after a wish.
There we go.
Let's take this one step at a time. Do you mind telling me what you wished for?
I wished I'd never be alone again. It sounds pathetic when I say it out loud. But I'd gone through a divorce. My daughter moved across the country. I was spending every evening sitting in the same quiet house. I didn't ask for money or immortality or anything like that. I just didn't want to come home to an empty place anymore.
I understand, and thank you for explaining that. Can you tell me what changed after your wish was granted? Did something happen immediately, or was it something you noticed over time?
It was, gradual. At first, it was little things that were easy to dismiss. I'd hear footsteps after I'd already locked the house up for the night, or find a kitchen cabinet standing open that I knew I'd closed. I'd blame myself, tell myself I was tired, distracted. And, well, then I started noticing things. Chairs moved just enough. I knew someone sat in them. It was never a lot, just enough.
Have you noticed any evidence that someone else might act?
So that's why the meme, you have to be specific in your wishes. You just don't I wish to be rich. I wish to be, $1 million. There was this comic about this guy, and meeting a genie, and the thing is he had ideas that you genie are my slaves now, I will hang on to you forever, and the genie sort of made this very intimidating statement that I am an immortal being with a blah 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 blah, and the guy got scared, so he retracted his statement and said, so what are you wish for? Women, health, and wealth. So 3 things, I guess. I'm guessing if you're gonna play, or if you're gonna mess with something like this, do 2 things. Keep it simple, keep it specific. I wish for $1 million American or something. I like it.
Actually be entering your home? We always recommend ruling out ordinary explanations before assuming your experience is connected to a granted wish. Have you contacted the police or checked your home for signs of forced entry?
I did all of that. I changed every lock in the house, installed cameras inside and outside. I even had a buddy from work stay with me for a weekend because I thought maybe I was losing my mind. Nobody ever showed up. The cameras never recorded another person walking through my house, but they did record me. That's the part I can't explain.
What exactly did the cameras record that concerns you?
I'll sit down on the couch and slide over like I'm making room for somebody beside me. Sometimes I'll stop in the hallway and nod like I'm listening to someone finish talking before I answer.
Uh-huh.
Last night I watched almost 6 hours of footage. There were at least a dozen moments where I smiled, laughed, held doors open, or turned towards someone who wasn't there. Every single camera angle showed the same thing.
Well, I appreciate you explaining everything so clearly. I know these experiences can be difficult to describe. Before I see what information I can provide, I need to ask you one more question. Has anyone else witnessed this in person or only on your security footage?
Nobody else has seen it. My friends, they think I'm exhausted. And my daughter keeps telling me to go to a doctor, and maybe they're right. I honestly don't know anymore. I just know I wished I'd never be alone again, and every day since it feels less and less like I am. So, I guess why I called really is there any way to undo a wish?
No.
Based on what you've described, it sounds consistent with a wish that has already been granted. Unfortunately, once a wish reaches that stage, we're not able to modify, reverse, or cancel its effects. Very sorry, but there's really nothing further I can do for you tonight.
So that's it? I just live like this? I spend the rest of my life wondering who's sitting beside me, who's walking through my house, who's waiting for me when I get home.
Yep.
Has to be someone higher up, a supervisor or someone.
Well, we do have supervisors, but they're going to tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you. Once a wish has taken root, it belongs to you. Our role is simply to document your experience and answer any questions we can.
I don't want it anymore.
Good night, sir.
For what you wish for. Or at least, be specific with your next one.
Thank you for calling Wish Willow Customer Care. This call may be monitored or recorded. How may I help you?
Hi. I think I made a mistake. I don't want my wish anymore. I know you probably can't undo it, but I really need some advice.
I'd be happy to discuss your experience with you. If you don't mind me asking, what was your wish?
I've always kept exotic pets. Snakes, monitor lizards, scorpions, but my favorite was always my tarantula. His name's Charlie.
Charlie.
I've had him almost 11 years. He's never bitten anybody. I'd take him out while
did.
I watched TV. He'd just sit on my shoulder. Honestly, he was probably the calmest pet I've ever owned.
Mm-hmm. And what did you wish for?
Nothing crazy. I just wished Charlie was stronger. That's all. He was getting older, slowing down, and I hated watching it happen. I figured maybe he'd be a little healthier, a little tougher. I wasn't trying to change what he was.
And your wish was granted?
Oh, absolutely. Within a week, he started getting bigger. At first, I thought I was just imagining it. Then he molted and came out almost twice the size. The next molt, bigger again. It just never stopped.
How large would you estimate Charlie is now?
About the size of a motorcycle, maybe
Holy
a little bigger.
Crap.
His legs touch both walls when he stretches.
I see. And where is Charlie the spider currently?
The basement. I had to move him down there about a month ago. He
Yeah.
outgrew the terrarium, then he outgrew the spare bedroom, and now the basement's about the only place he'll fit.
Has he displayed aggressive
Outward
behavior?
aggression?
No, not toward me. He's still Charlie. When I come downstairs, he walks over so I can scratch behind his eyes. He still recognizes my voice. He even does this little tapping thing with his front legs whenever I bring food.
Okay, well, I think you mentioned needing advice.
Well, I don't know what to feed him anymore. Crickets obviously stopped working months ago, then mice, then rabbits. I've been buying whole chickens, and he eats those in about 30 seconds. I'm running out of ideas.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah. My neighbor came over yesterday. I asked him to help move an old freezer downstairs.
And you saw
Charlie
Charlie.
startled him. He kind of grabbed him.
Do you mind clarifying what you mean by grabbed him?
Well, he...
Get another Wishline, get another Willow wish, and help make the situation go away. Oh, damn it. Make the situation go away.
Wrapped him up. Not aggressively, more like
Cocoon.
the way spiders do. I figured Charlie was just confused. My neighbor's still alive. I can hear him yelling every now and then. I don't really know how to get him out without upsetting Charlie. Do you happen to have, I don't know, some kind of care guide? Maybe a feeding chart or a recommended enclosure size?
I'm sorry. At this time, we don't provide any guidance for oversized arachnids.
Yeah. I figured it was worth asking.
From what you're telling me, it seems like your wish was granted, and successfully.
All right. Thanks for your time, I guess.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling One Wish Willow customer care. Willow customer care, how may I help you? Just be advised, this call may be monitored and recorded.
Hi, I'm not really sure if this qualifies as a customer service issue, but I don't really know who else to ask. I bought one of your willows about 4 months ago after my husband left. 22 years of marriage, and one morning he packed a bag, said he couldn't do it anymore, and drove away. I was desperate, and I made a wish that he'd come home.
I'm sorry you're going through a hard time. Can I start off by asking if your wish was granted?
Yes, that's the strange part. 3 days later, I heard the front door open around 6 in the evening, just like he used to after work. He walked inside, set his keys in the little bowl by the door, kissed me on the forehead, asked me what was for dinner. It was like he never left. I cried for an hour because I thought I'd been given a miracle.
And at what point did you start having concerns regarding your wish?
Little things at first. He stopped talking about where he'd been. Every time I asked, he'd just smile and change the subject. Then I realized he never called anyone anymore. His brother would leave voicemails, his friends would text him, his phone would ring, and he just let it happen. He never answered a single one.
Has your husband explained why?
No, because he barely says anything unless I speak first now. Every morning he leaves the house at exactly 7:30, and every evening he walks back in at exactly 6. I followed him once. He drove to an empty parking lot, turned the engine off, and just sat there for 10 hours. Then he drove home.
I see. And has his daily routine changed at all since he returned?
Not once. Every day is exactly the same. Same breakfast, same clothes, same words. Yesterday, I burned dinner by accident. He took one bite, looked at me, smiled and said, "It's perfect." That's when I realized he hasn't disagreed with me a single time since he came back.
Can I ask you one final question?
Of course.
Has he ever called you by your name?
No, I don't think he has. Not once.
Oh, no. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I'll make a note of it in your file. Have a pleasant evening.
Why would you have a hotline for something like this? I mean, it's just something that I realized. Like, what would be the point? Why would you have a hotline for this? Hmm. And I'm beginning to realize that regular baking paper might not be suitable for my purposes. Like it's a little bit too wet. Because back then I used parchment paper, and I believe it was a little bit too dry, and paint would dry up, which was fine, but now water absorption is a little bit too fast for me. With regards to this one. Adding that detail that no one will ever. Yeah. Blade work. Time for the blade and the belt work. Mm-mm.
Willow customer care, thank you for calling. This call may be monitored and recorded. How can I help you?
Hi there. I hope this isn't too unusual.
It
But I
never
actually don't have a
is.
complaint. I wasn't even sure if people just called to say thank you. But I figured someone over there deserved to hear it.
Nerdy sounding voice. What's the bet that he asked for something that's a bit perverted? We'll see. Hold on.
I've had my Willow for about 8 months now, and I honestly don't think a single day has gone by where I haven't been grateful for what it has done for my family.
Oh, okay.
Positive feedback
I was
is
wrong.
always welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to contact customer care. If you don't mind me asking, what wish did you make?
This for my son. He was born with a spinal condition that left him unable to walk. We spent years going from specialist to specialist, trying surgeries, braces, physical therapy. Everything people told us might help. When nothing worked, I bought the Willow, broke it, and wished my little boy could run through our backyard like every other kid on the block. The very next morning, I'll never forget it, my wife screamed from upstairs, and I ran to his room thinking something terrible had happened. Instead, there he was, standing beside his bed. By that afternoon, he was taking steps. Within a week, he was running laps around the yard. He's 9 now, and I can't keep up with him anymore. Baseball, soccer, climbing trees, all the things we thought we'd only ever get to imagine. You have no idea what this means to a parent.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that you and your family had such a positive experience. Now, I'll make sure your comments are added to your customer satisfaction report. Is your son continuing to do well?
Better than ever. He's healthy. He's happy. He wears me out every single weekend. We just got back from hiking together yesterday. There was a time I had to given anything just to watch him walk across the living room. Yesterday I watched him race up a mountain. I lost, by the way. He made sure I knew it.
It's wonderful to hear. I'm glad everything continues to meet your expectations.
It really has. I know you'll probably spend all day talking to people who regret their wishes or want answers you can't give them, but I just wanted someone over there to know sometimes you really do change lives for the better. Whatever One Wish Willow is, thank you.
You're very welcome. Before we conclude the call, I just need to ask a routine follow-up question for our records. Has your son ever described remembering what it was like before he was born?
What? No. Should he?
So yeah, the call center is aware of the supernatural implication of their product. Anyways. No. Oh shit. Crap. There we go.
If he ever does, don't panic, but do not discourage it for your own safety. Thank you for calling One Wish Willow customer care and have a wonderful evening.
For your own safety. The hell does that mean?
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance. Thank you for calling Willow customer care. How can I help you?
Hi. I wasn't sure this was something I should call about, but I figured if anyone will understand, it'd be the people who made the Willow. I made my wish about a week ago, and technically, it worked. That's actually why I'm calling. I don't think anything is wrong with the product.
Well, we here at Willow Customer Care are glad to hear your wish was successfully granted. If you don't mind me asking, what was your wish?
I've been blind since birth. Never saw a sunrise. Never saw my parents. Never saw my own face. Last week, I broke the Willow, and I wished I could see.
There's an Hong Kong movie. It's the Hong Kong, I can't remember. But anyways, there's a Hong Kong movie, the franchise called The Eye. It's for whatchamacallit. It was okay. Basically, she was a blind person, and the story is that she was a blind person all her life, and then she had eye surgery. Basically, her eyeballs were replaced with this very mean person, or this very disturbed person. So she started to see, and basically people who have been blind their entire lives have trouble adjusting back into seeing society, because they see the world in quote unquote darkness. But well, of course, we know for a fact that scientifically speaking, there are like different types of blindness. and hers is completely dark. So she started to see, and the thing is, she had trouble adjusting to the present world where she can actually see, and then she started seeing things other than what's supposed to be normal. It's actually quite entertaining, and if I'm not mistaken, the Eye franchise. It's the name of the movie. The Eye is available on YouTube.
And was your vision restored?
Perfectly. According to every doctor I've seen, my eyes are completely healthy.
It shouldn't have
They
been
keep telling
possible.
me it's a miracle. They keep smiling at me, asking what it's like seeing the world for the first time. I smile back because I know that's what they're expecting. The truth is, I don't know what I'm looking at half the time.
Could you get into that, please? Explain it a
There
little
we
further
go,
for
see?
me.
Everyone told
If he's if he's been blind his entire life, then what exactly is he supposed to be seeing? Because you know what, if you lost your sight and then you came back again, of course, you'd recognize some stuff. Like, I guess the perfect metaphor would that be like a person getting into prison in the early 2Ks, and then coming out in 2026. He'd still notice he knows that the world would have changed, but the thing is, he'd still recognize some things from the past. But here, in this particular story, the person has been blind his entire life. So, or he's never had a sight. So, how would that be explained?
me I'd finally be able to recognize faces. I can't.
You can.
I know 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth are supposed to make a face.
Uh-huh.
But when my wife walks into the room, it's just shapes. I know it's her because she speaks. If she stays quiet, she's just another person standing there. People point at things and tell me what they are. But the second they walk away, it's all meaningless again. It's like someone handed me a book in a language I've never seen before and expected me to read it.
Have your doctors discussed visual rehabilitation, occupational therapy, anything like that?
They have. They tell me my brain has to learn what my eyes are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
They say it'll take months, maybe years. But nobody warned me about the noise. Nobody warned me that seeing is loud. Grocery stores are unbearable. Every shelf, every package, every person walking.
Oh my god, information overload. Just imagine, all you've seen is darkness. And then that's it. Because I'm pretty sure you guys have seen deaf people regaining their hearing. There are videos of that on YouTube. But the thing is, just imagine instead of a quiet clinic where they would hear the doctor's voice or their loved one's voice, just imagine if that person regained their hearing in the middle of traffic. So yeah, not exactly the best thing.
Past me, it's all fighting for my attention at once. I used to walk through my house without thinking. Now, I keep stopping because I'm overwhelmed by things I've never even knew were there.
Well, it sounds like it's been a very difficult adjustment.
Yesterday, my son handed me a crayon, drawing he made. Everyone kept asking me if I liked the colors. I just
stood there,
stared at it. I don't know what makes blue different from green, except that someone told me the names. Everyone always said sunsets were beautiful. I watched one last night, and all I could think was, is this what everyone else has been talking about? I felt like I was missing something that everybody else understood.
Well, sir, I appreciate you sharing your experience. Unfortunately, it sounds like your wish was fulfilled, and we're not able to reverse wishes.
I figured that's what you'd say. I don't even know if I wanted you to fix it. I think I just needed somebody to understand that getting exactly what I wished for wasn't the same as getting the life I imagined.
There we
Everyone
go.
around me thinks I'm living a miracle. I just feel lost.
No, I understand. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. Have a pleasant evening.
This problem is psychological.
Thank you for calling customer care. This call may be monitored or recorded. How can I help you?
Hi.
Hello.
This is probably going to sound strange, but I don't have a complaint. I actually just wanted to see if my wish really worked.
I'd be happy to discuss your experience with you, sir. If you don't mind me asking, what was your wish?
I'm 73. Retired. Spent 38 years as the night janitor at Lincoln High School. Never married. No kids of my own. Most days, people barely know.
You guys ever notice a female janitor or a janitress? Because in here in the Philippines they're normal, but abroad in the US, in almost every film that I've seen, I have never noticed a female janitor or a janitress.
Noticed I was there. Toward the end of my career, I started wondering if I'd actually made any difference at all. So, I wished my life mattered. Not to everybody, just to somebody.
And what happened after your wish?
Well, honestly, nothing. Months went by. I started to think maybe I asked for something too vague.
Yeah,
Life just kept moving. I have a little place out by the lake. I started fishing, and people started to show up. The first one was a doctor. Knocked on my front door one morning. I had no idea who he was. He looked at me and said, "You probably don't remember me." Turns out he'd been a student at the school 25 years ago. He said one night I'd found him sitting alone outside after basketball practice. Apparently I sat with him for the better part of an hour. He told me he was thinking about quitting school, and I don't remember the conversation, but he said I convinced him to stay. Now he's an emergency room physician. He just wanted to shake my hand.
I see. And did anyone else visit?
Yes. A few weeks later, a woman said she drove 3 hours just to bring me a pie. She said her mom had worked nights cleaning classrooms with me, and when her mother got sick, I quietly covered all of her shifts for almost 2 months.
Interesting.
I vaguely remember doing it, but she said without that paycheck, they would have lost their apartment. And then there was a police officer, a teacher, a mechanic. One guy remembered the little notes I used to leave on his desk before exams. Nothing fancy, but he said he carried those notes with him.
Well, sir, based on what you've told me, it sounds like your wish was granted successfully.
I don't know. I just realized I spent most of my life thinking nobody noticed me, and maybe I was wrong.
Well, sometimes the impact we have on
It's the little things.
others isn't visible until much later. I'm glad you chose to call and share your experience with us.
I wish I'd known sooner. Would have saved me a lot of lonely nights. Thank you. And whoever makes those willows, just tell them they did all right by me.
Yep.
One Wish Willow customer care. This call may be monitored and recorded. Thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm hoping maybe you can answer a question that's been on my mind for a few weeks now. I don't have a complaint exactly. At least I don't think I do. My Willow worked exactly the way I hoped it would. I just... I don't know if I understand what I'm experiencing anymore.
Okay, let me start off with my usual first question. If you don't mind me asking, what was your wish?
Well, my dad passed away almost 10 years ago. Cancer. He never got to meet my kids, never got to see me buy my first house.
Pet
never got to
cemetery
retire like he
situation.
planned. I'd spent years wishing I could just, have one more conversation with him. So when I bought the Willow, that's exactly what I wished for. I wished I could talk to my father again.
Okay, and was your wish granted?
Yeah, the very next night, 9 o'clock on the dot. My house phone rang. Nobody even uses that thing anymore, so I almost let it
I was surprised he said house phone.
go to voicemail. I picked it up, and the first thing I heard was, "Hey, kiddo."
Hey, kiddo.
That's what he always called me. Not my name, kiddo. I knew his voice immediately. We talked for almost half an hour, about work, about weather, about baseball. When I hung up, I just, sat there crying.
Has this happened more than once?
Every night. 9 o'clock exactly. Never a minute early, never a minute late. We've talked about everything. He asks how my wife's doing. He asks how work's been treating me. Sometimes we just sit there laughing about stupid things we did when I was a kid. Honestly, those calls have become my favorite part of the day.
And what prompted you to contact customer care tonight?
Well, because something changed about a week ago. Nothing dramatic, just little things. He started asking me how my mother likes the kitchen remodel. The thing is, we didn't remodel that kitchen until 2 years after he died. Then he asked if my daughter was enjoying college. She wasn't even born when he passed away. At first I thought, maybe I'd mentioned those things before, but I went through my notes and I never did.
I understand. Has the
keeps
voice
notes of your
remained
conversation?
consistent throughout every conversation?
Exactly the same. Same laugh, same little cough before he tells a joke. Same habit of saying, "Listen here," whenever he thought I was about to argue with him. If I closed my eyes, I'd swear he was sitting right in the room with me. And that's what's making this so hard. Everything about him feels real, except for the things he shouldn't possibly know.
And have the conversations remained pleasant?
Yeah, that's the strange thing. He never threatened me, never asked me for anything. He just calls, we talk, and he tells me he'll call again tomorrow. If you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have told you this Willow was the greatest purchase I'd ever made. I guess. And I just started wondering if there's something I should be
You should
worried
start
about.
playing Warhammer.
From what you're saying, it sounds like your wish
If a Willow wish is like the craziest quote-unquote purchase he's ever made, yeah, you should start playing Warhammer.
is functioning as intended. Unfortunately, here at Customer Care, we can't determine the nature of granted wishes or the means by which they operate. We can only document your experience and answer your questions regarding our policies.
So, you can't tell me if it's really him? I wasn't expecting you to, I guess. I just, need to ask somebody. Because every night, right before 9, I find myself hoping the phone rings. And every
Not so
night
bad.
after we hang up, I end up grieving all over again. Actually, there was one thing. Last night, right before we hung up, he was quieter than usual. Then he said something he'd never said before. He just laughed a little and said, "When are you coming, kiddo?" I asked him what he meant, and then the line went dead.
If the nature of the conversation changes again, or if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact Customer Care.
Do you think he'll call again tonight?
I'd probably expect your phone to ring at its usual time.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you for calling Willow Customer Care. Have a pleasant evening.
It's something.
Willow Customer Care, this call may be monitored and recorded. How can I help you?
Hi. I think I need help. Real help. I've spent the last 3 days trying to convince myself I'm imagining this, but I don't think I am anymore. I made my wish about 2 months ago, and everything was fine until last week. Now, I can't even look in the mirror without feeling sick.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry to hear you're having a bad experience. What was your wish?
I wished that I finally stopped lying to myself. I spent years making excuses for everything. My marriage falling apart, drinking too much, blaming other people for my own mistakes. I thought if I could just be honest with myself for once, maybe I'd finally become a better man.
And after making this wish, what changes did you notice?
Honestly, I thought the will hadn't worked. Then one morning, I caught my reflection smile at me while I was brushing my teeth. The problem was, I wasn't smiling. I actually laughed because I figured my eyes were playing tricks on me. But it kept happening. Little things. A blink that came a second too late. My reflection turned its head toward me after I already walked away from the mirror.
Have you discussed any of this with a medical professional?
My doctor says I'm healthy. Eye exam was perfect. Therapist thinks I'm under stress, but this isn't stress. Yesterday, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror for almost 20 minutes. I didn't move. Neither did my reflection. Until right before I walked away, it nodded at me. I swear to God, it nodded.
Have these experiences been limited to reflective surfaces?
That's why I'm calling. Store windows, the rear view mirror in my truck, my television when it's turned off, anything reflective. I started covering the mirrors in my house, and for a while that helped, but yesterday I saw myself on the screen of my microwave. I wasn't even standing in front of it.
Have you noticed any changes in the reflection itself? Clothing, injuries, facial features, anything at all that differs from your actual appearance?
It looks exactly like me. Exactly. It just doesn't always do what I do anymore. Sometimes it'll look over my shoulder. Sometimes it'll smile when I'm terrified. Last night, it raised its hand like it was waving goodbye. And I was standing perfectly still.
Well, first of all, thank you for explaining everything so thoroughly. Give me one moment while I review the information you provided. Thank you for waiting.
Interesting.
Sir, based on the nature of your wish and the experiences you've described, I'm afraid this falls outside the scope of customer care. There are certain cases that require additional review, and yours appears to meet that criteria.
What does that mean? Can you tell me what's happening? Has this happened to somebody else?
Oh, good day.
I'm not authorized to answer those questions, sir. What I can do is transfer you to a supervisor who can assist you further.
Please. I don't care how long I have to wait. I just need somebody to tell me I'm not losing my mind.
No, of course. Please remain on the line while I connect you. And, sir, please hold. Your life may depend on it.
Thank you for holding. My name is Evelyn. I'm one of the customer care supervisors here at One Wish Willow. I've had an opportunity to review the notes from your representative, so there's no need to repeat everything unless you would like to. I understand you're experiencing unusual behavior involving your reflection.
Thank you for taking the call. I honestly didn't think I'd get the transfer to anybody. I just need someone to tell me what's happening. My doctor thinks I'm under stress. My therapist thinks I'm imagining, and now I'm afraid to even shave in the morning because I don't know what I'm going to see looking back at me.
Yeah.
I understand. Before we continue, I'd like you to know that everything you've described has been documented exactly as you've experienced it. You're speaking clearly, you're answering my questions appropriately, and I have no reason to believe you're fabricating any part of this call. Now, tell me how your reflection behaved today.
This morning, it was normal. At least I thought it was. I brushed my teeth, got dressed, and left for work. But when I came home, I caught my reflection in the front window before I unlocked the door. It was already standing inside the house. I was still on the porch, but it was just waiting for me.
I see. Has it attempted to communicate with you in any way?
Not with words. It smiles sometimes. Sometimes it just watches me. Last night, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror for almost an hour because I wanted to prove myself none of this was real. Right before I walked away, it lifted its hand. I didn't.
Thank you. That information is quite helpful.
Helpful? You're talking like this happens every day. Please, just tell me the truth. Am I losing my mind?
No, that's the
No.
Then what
that's the
am
scary
I
part.
looking at? Has
Scary part is, you guys, crazy people don't know they're crazy.
this happened before?
Yes.
Yes?
What happened to those people?
Their experiences varied considerably.
That's not an answer. Did they survive?
Some did.
Some?
I'm sorry. I'm not authorized to discuss individual customer outcomes.
Then why sell these things? If you know this can happen, why keep selling them?
Because the overwhelming majority of our customers report complete satisfaction with their wish.
I don't believe you. So
You don't have
what
to
am I
believe
supposed
it.
to do now? Just stop looking in mirrors? Hide in my house? Wait for whatever this thing is to replace me?
May I offer you some advice?
Please.
Don't challenge it. Don't imitate it. If it smiles, allow it to smile. If it waves, don't wave back. If it looks away, let it. And if one morning you find a mirror reflecting an empty room, don't try to find where it went.
How do you know that? Had this happened to you? Then how can you possibly know any of this? What does that even mean? Hello? Ma'am? Hello?
Careful what you wish for.
Thank you so much for calling Willow Customer Care. How may I help you today? Please be advised this call is monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Yeah, I think your product didn't work. Or maybe it worked wrong. I'm honestly not sure which.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you tell me what wish you attempted to make?
Spent my whole life looking for something that made me feel alive. Money was never a problem. Traveled to more countries than I can remember, climbed mountains, dove shipwrecks. Ate in the best restaurants in the world. Skydived, raced cars, hiked jungles, you name it. I've probably done it. Somewhere along the way, everything just started feeling the same. I was never looking for riches or love.
No challenge.
I just wanted something new. Something beyond anything I've ever experienced before. Something that made me feel the way I imagined people are supposed to feel.
So what happened after you made your wish?
Nothing. But about a week later, a package showed up on my doorstep. No shipping label, no return address. Just an old brown paper wrapping with a little carved box inside. I thought maybe it was part of the experience. Maybe your company makes people work for their wish.
Did your package contain a Willow wish order or a tracking number, any kind of identifying information?
No, like I said, just the box. And I admit I've been obsessed with it ever since.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know why. I keep telling myself I'm done with it, and then 20 minutes later, I'm back at my desk turning it over in my hands again. Every time I solve one part of this puzzle box, another part shifts, like it wants me to open it.
Okay.
Just not yet.
Interesting. Can you describe the box for me?
It's small, heavy, kind of gold in color. There's strange geometric carvings in it. Seems old. Honestly, it's beautiful. I've bought art that costs more than many make in a year. This little thing, it's more beautiful than any of that.
I see. Has the box done anything unusual?
I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just not sleeping. Every time I try to solve it and I get closer, I hear something very faint. Like tiny bells.
Clicks.
But they're not inside the house or even outside. They're far away. But every time they sound a little closer.
And the box remains unopened?
Yeah. But I don't think it'll stay that way much longer. I've almost got it figured out. And every time I touch it, those bells start again. I swear, it's like something knows I'm getting close. I'll solve it soon.
Interesting. So maybe that's it. That's
Calling
his
Willow
wish.
customer care.
Hold on. Maybe that's his wish. Call it. He's looking for something new. Holy crap! He should have invested his money in science or something.
Maybe monitored and recorded. How can I help you?
Good evening. I am calling from London. I wasn't sure whether to ring, but I think I need someone to tell me I am not going mad.
I'd be more than happy to discuss your experience with you, sir. If you don't mind me asking, what was your wish?
My wife, she passed away 6 years ago. 41 years together. She was everything. After the funeral, people kept telling me time would make it easier. It didn't. So when I found One Wish Willow, I wish I could be with her again.
Okay. Well, what happened?
About 3 weeks ago, something changed. Every morning, I catch the 7:42 into London. Same platform, same station, same routine for the last 20 years. Only now, a different train arrives first. It isn't on the departure board, it's the platform. Sign never changes. Nobody else seems to notice. It simply just glides into the station and waits.
Okay, does anyone board the train?
No, that's the strange part. Every carriage is empty. No driver, no passenger. The doors open and nothing happens. For maybe 30 seconds. Then, the announcement comes over the speaker.
What announcement?
It's my wife. Her voice. Not similar, not close. Her voice. Mind the gap, it says.
Has anyone else acknowledged hearing this?
No. Everyone just keeps staring at their phones, reading the newspaper, having conversations. It's like I'm the only one who hears her. The train sits there, doors open, and she says, mind the gap. Then, this service is now boarding. After that, it pulls away empty. Every morning.
Okay, Well, what prompted you to contact customer care today?
Because today, she said something different.
What did she say?
After the usual announcement, there was a pause. Then she laughed. The same laugh she had for 40 years. And she said, there's plenty of room, love. Nobody reacted. Nobody looked up. It was just for me.
I see.
I keep telling myself I'm not going to get on. Every morning I promise myself Then the doors open and I start walking. I stop every time, right at the edge, but I'm getting closer every day. I don't want to die. I really, really don't want to die. But if that's where she is, I'm afraid one morning I won't stop.
I'm sorry, sir. Here at customer care, we can't determine the destination of any granted wishes.
Do you think she's really be there?
Nope.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Neither do
I've always found this whole, boomer thing that whatchamacallit, that every time they speak of someone that's already passed away, they always, say, "Oh, he's in heaven now. He's in a better place." Really? Really? You're that optimistic that you think that person is, deserves heaven after, all he or she did? I mean, yeah, they have. I guess they're just, being polite, thinking that their quote unquote loved ones are currently in heaven. But yeah, hold on, I'm just gonna get some water, okay? All the leaves are brown and the sky. Mm-hmm. All right, we're back.
I. I'm afraid to get on that train. God help me.
Why cling to life?
Thanks for calling customer care. This call may be monitored and recording for Willow quality assurance. How can I help you?
Hi. I think I need to reverse my wish. I know that's probably not something you do, but I don't know who else to call.
Okay. Well, talk to me. Tell me about your wish and what's going on.
I've been gambling since I was 21. Blackjack, poker, craps, sports betting, horses. If somebody was willing to take my money, I was willing to give it to them. I lost 2 marriages because of it. Lost my house, lost friends. I kept telling myself all I needed was one lucky streak to get everything back. Then I found your Willow.
And what did you wish for?
I'd wished I'd never lose another bet. It seemed simple enough. I figured maybe I'd finally catch a break.
And was the wish granted?
Every single time. First night I won 3 hands of blackjack in a row. Then 20. Then I hit every sports bet that weekend. I started betting things I knew nothing about. Horse races in countries I'd never heard of. Table tennis, darts, it didn't matter. If I put money on it, I won.
Okay.
Okay, and what's the reason of your call to customer care tonight?
Because I thought it would feel incredible. Instead, it feels like reading tomorrow's newspaper. There's no excitement anymore. I already know I'm going to win before the dealer even shuffles the cards, before kickoff, before the horses leave the gate. I've made millions, and I haven't enjoyed a single dollar of it.
Have you considered no longer gambling?
That's the problem. I can't stop. I still wake up wanting to bet. I still get that itch. Only now, there's never any risk. I'm still addicted. I'm just never satisfied.
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but from what you're telling me, it sounds like your wish was granted successfully, and I'm not able to reverse or modify that wish.
Casinos don't even let me in anymore. Sports books close my accounts. People accuse me of cheating. Friends won't play cards with me. I wished I'd stopped losing. Instead, I lost the only part of gambling I actually love. I'd give every dollar back just to lose one hand. One honest hand.
Do tabletop, right? Do tabletop. You wouldn't have enough money to bet. Because I heard there was this group of guys. They did this whole extreme thing. Where, they bet minis. Basically, if you won, you get to keep the other guy's army or something. The thing is, I don't think it lasted long. But the thing is, do tabletop, you know why? Number one, you wouldn't have enough money to bet with because everything goes to minis. And number two, you get the same thrill every time you roll that dice. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything else I can assist you with tonight?
No, I guess not.
Guess not. Do tabletop, man.
This call may be monitored and recorded. How can I help you?
Hi.
Hello.
I really don't know where to start here. I made a wish about 6 months ago, and I
from the beginning,
think that it worked. I just don't think I was supposed to see it this way.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm all ears and happy to discuss your experience with you, ma'am. You don't mind me asking, what was your wish?
I wished I could see the future. Nothing selfish. I wasn't trying to get rich or win the lottery. I've just always felt uncertain. I thought if I could see what was coming, maybe I'd worry a little less. Maybe I'd stop feeling like every tomorrow was waiting to surprise me.
Okay. And after you made this wish, what happened next?
And then one morning, I got an email. No sender, no subject line, just one sentence. Your page has been updated. Underneath it was a Wikipedia link with my name.
Uh-huh.
Did you recognize the website?
Yeah, it looked exactly like Wikipedia. Same layout, same logo, except there shouldn't have been a page about me. I'm nobody. I'm a high school English teacher. I almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me.
And what did the page contain?
Everything. Where I was born, my parents, where I went to college, my husband, my career. Everything was accurate. Then I scrolled down. There was a section describing something that hadn't happened yet. It said, on April 9th, Emily Carter was involved in a serious automobile collision while driving home from work.
Uh-huh.
That was the next day.
And did that event occur?
Exactly the way it was written. Same road, same time, same hospital. Even the injuries matched. The next morning I checked again, and the article had changed. The accident wasn't written as the future anymore. It had become part of my life story, like it always been there.
Did you continue reading the page?
Every day. I couldn't stop. Every morning there was another update.
There's a song about this. There's a children's song about this. Something about, the future's not ours to see, que sera, sera.
My dog getting sick, my father breaking his hip, close friend moving away. Every single thing happened exactly the way the article said it would.
Uh-huh.
After about 2 months, I couldn't take it anymore. I stopped opening the emails. I stopped checking the page. Pretended it didn't even exist.
Okay.
When you stopped checking, did it improve your quality of life?
More than I expected. It felt like getting my life back. I wasn't waking up terrified of tomorrow anymore. My husband even told me I seemed happier. I started sleeping through the night again. For the first time in months, I stopped thinking about the future.
Very good. So why are you contacting customer care tonight, ma'am, or what can I do for you?
I looked again, just once.
Uh-huh.
I told myself I was only checking to prove it was gone. There was another email waiting. Same sentence. Your page has been updated.
And what had changed?
The article ends tomorrow. There's a section called Death. It has tomorrow's date, my age, the town where it happens, even a photograph they're using beside the obituary. Is there a chance it's wrong?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Customer care can't tell you whether or not future events revealed by...
I went to a fortune teller once for the school project. It was a sociological school project. And anong tawag doon? And basically it was the fortune... here in the Philippines, we have what the Quiapo Church. Right? It's a very iconic church in the Philippines. It's a well-known church. It's supposed to, grant miracles or something. And the thing is, strange thing about this whole thing. It's actually quite it's famous. Pilgrims everywhere. It's the home of the Black Nazarene. The thing is, you'd see all types of characters surrounding that church. And anyways, one of the many things you'd notice is that outside the church, you'd see a lot of whatchamacallit. Ironically, actually, you would see a lot of occult or supernatural businesses. I mean, how you would describe it, from fortune tellers to people who would sell charms, gayuma, and cytotech. Cytotech is a well-known abortive pill. Anyways, I find the whole situation ironic. You'd find occult practitioners and occult products being sold right outside the church. But anyways, one of the things you'd find outside that church are fortune tellers. And they have rules, and I went to one. Okay, so tell me about my future, and I went to one. I honestly can't remember what she told me, but I remember one of the rules is that we do not talk about death. That's it. I can't remember what she told me. She didn't even have tarot cards. She just had like regular playing cards, which took me out of the immersion and everything. But anyways, which is quite weird. So if you guys find yourself in our little island or group of islands, you should check it out. It's actually quite a well-known whatchamacallit tourist destination because it's near not Fort Bonifacio, Intramuros, which is the old Spanish fort. The old Spanish fort. So yeah, you'd find everything there. And one of the reasons why a lot of why some people have trouble at airports is they sell charms against bullets, or basically they'd sell charms against harm, and for some reason those charms almost always involved carrying around a live round. Like soldiers would basically get there or go there. Soldiers that are about to be deployed south of the country, they'd usually go there to buy charms that would um help them, I guess, keep them from harm, and some even claim to make them impervious to bullets or something. Really quite ironic that you'd find occult practitioners and occult products, even abortive ones. If you see if you basically just walk around the church, you'd see people selling bottles that says pampalaglag. Pampalaglag, laglag means drop. So the implication is drop your baby or something. Drop the unborn child. I know it's not funny, but it's just I've always found it strange. Like, why here of all places? Anyways. Bam 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 bam.
A wish are fixed
Oh, yeah, it's
or
done.
observed.
So you don't know?
Yeah.
No, ma'am, I don't. And hey, you may be sent a survey in regards to this call. Please take time to fill it out. Have a good evening.
Screw you, man. Anyways, you guys, why don't we get on with the next story? But before we do, again, you guys like it if you do, and subscribe. Links of the original videos are in the description. Here we go. Oh, what's next? We all know it. We all, roughly, I guess we all sort of drink it, but the dark truth about Imperial Recaff, Warhammer 40k. Recaff is what they call coffee. I have no idea. It's just one of those things. Basically, they always mention it in story. They take a cup of Recaff and then smoke a joint or something. I've been thinking about it for quite some time now. That how I really really miss smoking. The thing about smoke, of course, because one of the best parts of my day as a younger man is basically smoking. Coffee and cigarettes. That was my life. I mean, everything was fine as long as I have coffee and cigarettes. Somewhere along the line, I quit for some reason. Don't really know why. I guess, at a certain point I'll go back to it. But for now, let's talk about coffee. And, before we do, like it if you do, you guys. Subscribe. Links of the videos are in the description. Here we go. Bam, 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 bam. All the leaves are brown.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And one man whose tongue was the most valuable instrument his employer owned. 22 years reading Recaff the way a Lex mechanic reads data, 9 parts per billion of variance, no spectrometer more accurate. Then one morning, the cup was wrong. And what frightened him wasn't the taste, it was the silence after he reported it. Hey, I'm your brother from the Void, and this is Tales from the Void. Today's story comes from Kellun Dresk, blend assayer on a hive world, the man who tasted what kept the Imperium's workforce on its feet, the only thing standing between mankind and a workforce too exhausted to serve. Most people never wonder what's actually in the cup. He spent his life finding out. And on one ordinary morning, his tongue told him something had changed in the supply chain for an entire subsector, something that was going to kill a great many people, and that no one would lift a finger to stop. Settle in. This is Tales from the Void. Let's begin. The cup was wrong. I knew it the way a blind man knows when someone has moved the furniture in his room. Not from evidence, not from logic. From 22 years of putting liquid against my palate and reading it the way a Lex mechanic reads data thread. The cup was wrong and nobody in the assay hall cared, and that was the first thing that should have frightened me. Not the taste, the silence that followed when I reported it. My name is Kellun Dresk. I was a blend assayer for Mercantile Compact Verodin on the Hive world.
A what? I'm sorry, excuse me? A blend assayer? Okay.
Of Threnach Septimus, and for 22 years my tongue was the most valuable instrument the Compact owned. More accurate than a chem sniffer, more reliable than a mass spectrometer. My tongue could detect 9 parts per billion of pharomoxine variants in a standard Recaff infusion. It could distinguish between leaf stalk harvested from the northern and southern hemispheres of the same agri-world. It could tell you, within a margin of 3 Terran days, how long a shipment had been in transit through the void. And on the morning of the 4th day of the Feast of the Emperor's Ascension, in the 41st year of my life, my tongue told me that something fundamental had changed in the Recaff supply chain for the entire Corvalin subsector, and that whatever had changed was going to kill a lot of people, and that nobody was going to do anything about it. My tongue was right about all of it. I should explain what I did for a living, because most people think Recaff is
I thought we were going to get a story about how Recaff is made. But anyways, let's keep on going.
Recaff. They think it comes from a leaf, gets crushed and brewed, and that's the end of the story. They drink it every morning and every shift change, and every time they need their hands to stop shaking after 12 hours on a manufactorum line, and they never once wonder what's actually in the cup. I don't blame them. I didn't wonder either, not for the first 15 years. You don't question the air you breathe. You don't question the water in your ration pipe. And you absolutely do not question the Recaff, because Recaff is the only thing standing between the Imperium of man and a workforce that's too exhausted to serve. Recaff. The word itself tells you more than the administratum would like. Recaff. Recaffeinated, meaning that whatever stimulant compound lives in the liquid, it was removed at some point and then put back in.
Why?
Think about that. Someone, at some point in the deep history of this drink, took the caffeine out and then deliberately reintroduced it.
Why?
Why would you do that? You do it because you want to control the dosage. You do it because you want to decide exactly how much stimulant goes into every cup, on every world, for every grade of worker. You do it because the drink was never really about the taste or the warmth or the comfort of wrapping your cracked hands around a tin cup at 4 in the morning. It was about the chemical payload. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Threnok Septimus is a hive world in the mid-reaches of the Segmentum Obscurus, and it is exactly as miserable as that sounds. 14 billion souls packed into 6 hive clusters, each one a vertical city that punches through the cloud layer and keeps going until the air gets too thin to breathe. The hive I lived in, Hive Morin, was the second largest. 47 million people crammed into a structure originally designed for 30. The lower levels hadn't seen natural light in recorded history. The upper spires, where the noble families played their political games, had actual windows made of armor glass, and the sunlight that came through them was the color of old parchment because of the atmospheric pollution. Between the spires and the underhive where I lived, there was the mid-hive, a compressed band of humanity where people like me worked, slept, ate, worked again, and drank Recaff. We drank a lot of Recaff. The mercantile compact Verodin operated out of a trade block on level 47 of Hive Morin's commercial district. We were not a large operation. We employed perhaps 800 people across procurement, logistics, assay, blending, packaging, and distribution. We handled approximately 2% of the Recaff that moved through the Corvalin subsector, which sounds insignificant until you understand the scale. 2% of the subsector's Recaff supply meant roughly 400 million individual servings per standard Terran day. We were, by the standards of the trade, a minor house. There were compacts that handled 10 times our volume. There were administratum licensed distributors that made us look like street vendors. But we had a reputation for quality, and that reputation was built on the assay division, and the assay division was built on people like me. There were 12 of us in the assay hall. 12 blend assayers, each responsible for evaluating incoming raw stock, testing processed blends, and certifying outgoing product for distribution. We worked in shifts of 4-8 hours at a time, tasting between 300 and 500 individual samples per shift. The work was meticulous. Each sample was prepared according to a standardized protocol. 10 grams of processed leaf or blend powder dissolved in 200 milliliters of water, heated to exactly 87 degrees. The sample was poured into a ceramic tasting cup, white glazed on the interior, so we could evaluate color. We would observe the color, note the clarity, assess the aroma, and then taste. A proper assessment took between 40 and 90 seconds per sample. We would draw the liquid across our palate, hold it, evaluate the primary notes, the body, the finish, and then spit it into a brass receptacle. We always spat. You never swallow during an assay session. Swallowing throws off your palate for the next sample, and if you're tasting 400 cups a day, swallowing would put enough stimulant into your system to stop your heart by week's end. That was the protocol. That was the rule. And that rule mattered more than any of us understood.
As it should be.
The best assayer who ever worked for the Compact was a man named Vorsk Palant. He trained me. 29 years on the tasting line, a palate so refined that procurement agents from other compacts tried to poach him twice a year. Vosk could taste mineral variants at concentrations that spectrometers needed.
Hold on, you guys. I think I need to switch this brush out. It's just, its tip just, lost its tip, I guess. I'll be back, all right? I'm just gonna switch brushes. I'm just gonna get a new brush downstairs. We're back. Hold on. So sorry. It's just that when I got downstairs, my mom was like, whatchamacallit, there we go. Ta-da! My mom was cleaning up downstairs, and she found an old, box full of photographs. Photographs that I did back then, in a previous life with all stuff and everything. So, here we are. So, anyways, check this out, right? I got a new brush. It's it's rated at 5 zeros. Not sure if you guys can see it. It's rated at it's basically 50 sizes, 5 zeros. And yeah, why don't we check it out? But hold on. Before we do, I usually quote unquote just leave a mark on before we do, check this out, right? Ta-da! Knife trick. I leave a mark like this to ensure that I'm not sure if you guys can see it. To ensure that, just to remind me that I've already discarded this brush, because you don't throw away brushes like this. You keep them in the off chance that you could use them again, especially for whatchamacallit, especially for metal washes or something. Some oil washes. Where did I put those? Because I swear last night, I'm honestly looking for my Nolan oil, my earth shade, my shades. My earth shade, my flesh shade. Because last night, I put them all up. And now they're gone. I can't seem to find them. Interesting. Hold up. So, anyways, that's a problem for another day. But anyways, so for now, this unboxing. Ta-da! There we go. It is unboxed. I've always wondered where to find these little straws because they serve as protectors for the brushes, especially for the more expensive ones. Personally, I honestly don't get the point of buying expensive brushes. Because this one literally cost less than $1. And so far, it is yet to fail me. But one of these days, if ever I do get the extra budget, I'm gonna get one of those, $20, $30 brushes and see if I could actually taste the difference or see the difference. But for now, we're stuck with this one. But before we do, I'm just gonna look for my washes, okay? Because after these two, no, actually, I have 2 more. There's no point in washing. I'm gonna have to, cancel the wash. But anyways, I'm gonna have to look for them later. Just that I'm worried that my mom is cleaning up a ton of stuff downstairs. Hold on, I have to find them. I have to find those washes. Because my mom is cleaning up and she's in one of her moods again that, she just might, throw it out, thinking, thinking it's a garbage or something. But anyways, just gonna look for it. I'm gonna get back, okay, as soon as possible. Hold on. Found the washes. Thankfully, they were just on the floor. Someone placed them there and no one threw them out. The question is, why were they on the floor? Why didn't you just put them on the table or something? Anyways, let's keep on going with the story. Ta-da! I know some of you people are asleep right now, but again, let's get back to the story of Recaff.
3 passes to detect. He retired 6 years ago at 58, healthy, sharp, still the best tongue in the division. I visited him 4 months after his retirement at his HAB unit on level 36. He was drinking Recaff, properly drinking it. A full pot every morning, another in the evening. He told me he'd never actually...
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
...enjoyed Recaff before, not in the full swallowing, savoring sense, because the protocol had always required him to spit. Now that he was retired, he said, he was finally going to drink the stuff he'd spent his career evaluating. I visited him again 8 months later. His hands shook. He had trouble finishing sentences. His eyes had a flatness to them that I attributed to age or loneliness, or the peculiar emptiness that settles into people who define themselves by their work and then stop working. I visited him one more time.
As the boomers say, retirement is the real killer. So,
time a year after that. He did not recognize me. He sat in his HAB unit with a cup of grade tertius in his hands and a blank bovine contentment on his face. And when I said his name, he looked at me as if I were a piece of furniture that had been moved into an unfamiliar position. The other assayers said it was cognitive decline, early onset. It happens. I accepted that explanation because the alternative was unthinkable. Now I know what happened to Vosak Pellant. 29 years of spitting had kept his mind clear, and 2 years of swallowing had erased it. The Recaff trade operates on a grading system that most consumers never see. At the top, you have grade primus, genuine leaf stock, minimally processed, often single origin, from a specific agri-world. Grade primus Recaff tastes like something alive. It has depth, complexity, a finish that lingers on the soft palate like a memory you can't quite place. It is consumed by planetary governors, senior administratum officials, rogue traders, navy admirals, and the very wealthiest of Hive Spire nobility. I tasted grade primus perhaps twice a year when a special shipment came through for authentication. It was like hearing music after a lifetime of industrial noise. Below that sits grade secundus, blended leaf stock, usually from multiple sources, processed and standardized. Grade secundus is what a well...
Imagine that, right? Less processing means higher quality.
...paid manufacturum overseer might drink, or a mid-ranking administratum clerk. It tastes competent, professional, like the difference between a hand-forged blade and a mass-produced one. Both cut, but one of them has a soul. Grade secundus was the bread and butter of our compact. We moved tremendous volumes of it, and our reputation depended on maintaining consistent quality across thousands of blended batches per year. Then you drop into grade tertius, and this is where the story gets dark. Grade tertius is what most people in the Imperium actually drink. It is what the manufacturum worker drinks, what the guardsman drinks, what the HAB clerk and the sanitation laborer, and the transit conductor and the dock hand and the corpse handler, and the lumen technician and the billions upon billions of other souls who keep the Imperium's machinery grinding forward all drink every day, multiple times a day. Grade tertius Recaff is not, strictly speaking, made from leaves. The official classification states that it must contain a minimum of 12% leaf-derived content by dry weight. The remaining 88% is synthetic, chemical stimulants, flavoring compounds, stabilizers, colorants, and a base filler that the industry refers to as organic substrate. The Administratum's Bureau of Consumable Standards certifies grade tertius as leaf product adjacent. I always appreciated the honesty of that phrasing. Adjacent, not leaf product, not even leaf derived. Adjacent, standing next to the real thing and hoping nobody looks too closely. Below grade tertius, there is grade quartus, which is what they serve in the underhive, in penal colonies, in the lowest tier guard rations, and in places where the word quality has been redacted from the local vocabulary. Grade quartus is not Recaff by any meaningful definition. It is a hot, brown, caffeinated liquid. It tastes like someone described Recaff to a servitor, and the servitor made its best attempt. I was not required to assay grade quartus. Nobody was. It was manufactured by automated processing plants and shipped in bulk drums. And if a batch was contaminated or tainted or simply wrong, nobody complained because the people drinking it had no frame of reference for what right tasted like. I knew all of this. Every blend.
The way you described it, where someone described the taste of Recaff to a servitor. One of the reasons why I quit smoking is because of the inconsistency of vape and the vape flavors, in a sense that the vape flavors here in the third world, it literally tastes like the person who made it, they'd have flavors like peach, apple pie, mango, that kind of stuff. Because, after I stopped smoking, maybe I should try this whole vaping thing, less obnoxious smell. But the thing is, whatchamacallit? It feels, or those flavors, like those flavors taste like whoever made them has never actually tasted, peach, apple, or mango before. It's like, I had a friend, like, he just came back home from the US. Guys, check this out. I got some vape juice for us from the US and everything. And one of the flavors was apple pie, and it tastes like, and I've had apple pie both here and in the US. And it tastes like whoever made this vape juice has never had apple pie before. I have this feeling that, the whole thing was manufactured. I can't remember if I actually checked it out, but I have a feeling that it was manufactured in China and then it was, exported to the US.
The sayer knew it. We joked about grade quartus. We called it the mercy, because drinking it made you grateful for anything better. But we didn't question the system.
Smart.
The system was the system. The Imperium required Recaff. The Imperium produced Recaff. The Imperium consumed Recaff. The grading existed to ensure that the right quality reached the right people, and if the definition of quality shifted depending on how far down the hive you lived, well, that was the Imperium. That was how things worked. I tasted, I graded, I blended. I did not ask questions.
That was the job.
Until the cup was wrong. The sample that morning was a grade tertius blend stock from Solvon Prime, an agri-world in the Corvalin subsector that had been supplying raw material to our compact for as long as I'd been working. Solvon Prime was a reliable source, consistent, predictable. The leaf stock from Solvon had a characteristic profile, a flat mineral base note, a mildly astringent body, and a short, clean finish. Not exciting, not complex, but consistent, which in the Recaff trade is worth more than excitement.
Everything.
You can blend a consistent base stock into almost anything. It's the foundation on which you build. I took the sample through the standard protocol. Color, acceptable. A dark amber within standard range. Clarity, slight turbidity, normal for Solvon stock due to mineral content. Aroma. That's where I paused. The aroma had a top note I didn't recognize. Something sharp. Not chemical sharp like a contaminant. Not bitter sharp like over-processed leaf. Something else. Something that reminded me of the smell of a cogitator's innards when the casing is cracked open. Metallic but biological. Like blood that's been heated. I tasted. I drew the liquid across my palate and held it, and the metallic note was there, underneath everything else, woven into the body of the blend, like a thread of wrong-colored wire braided into a cable. It was subtle. A consumer wouldn't taste it. Even most assayers might miss it if they weren't paying attention. But my palate was tuned to Solvon stock, the way a musician's ear is tuned to a familiar instrument. I knew what this leaf was supposed to taste like, and this wasn't it. Spitting, rinsing, a neutral cracker to reset the palate, then a second sample from the same batch. Tasted again. The note was still there. A third sample from a different batch in the same shipment. Still there. 6 batches from the most recent Solvon delivery, and every single one carried that same metallic undertone.
Something was wrong.
I logged it. Filed a deviation report with Provost Hannek Drull, who ran the assay division. Hannek was a careful man, thorough in his way, and he'd been running assay for 3 years longer than I'd been working. He tasted the samples himself and frowned. "I don't get it," he said. "It's in the body," I told him, "under the mineral base, metallic, warm." He tasted again, shook his head. "Might be mineral variance. Solvon's been running heavy cycles. Could be soil depletion affecting the leaf." Soil depletion gives you a flat profile, not a new note. This is an addition, not a subtraction. Hannek looked at me the way he always looked at me when I pushed back. Patient, slightly annoyed, fundamentally uninterested in being wrong. "Run the chem analysis. If the spectrometer doesn't flag it, we ship it." I ran the chem analysis. The spectrometer didn't flag it. The batch fell within.
They should look more closer if their house depends on quality. They should run it again, that something's changed or something's
in standard deviation for all 217 chemical markers that the Bureau of Consumable Standards required for grade tertius certification. By every measurable standard, the Recaff was fine. It shipped. I stood in the assay hall after the last shift and stared at the empty tasting cups and tried to make myself believe that my palate was wrong, that 22 years of training and experience had finally degraded, that I was tasting ghosts. But I'd been doing this too long, and the thing about a trained palate is that it doesn't lie. Cogitators can be miscalibrated. Spectrometers can miss what they aren't programmed to find. But a human tongue, properly trained, registers everything, even the things nobody wants to know about. I went home to my HAB unit on level 39. It was a single room with a cot, a sanitary alcove, a small cook plate, and a Recaff brewer. The brewer was a personal unit, a luxury in the mid-hive, and I'd spent 3 months' wages on it because I'm the kind of person who cares about these things. I kept a small supply of grade secundus at home, purchased at discount through the compact. That night, I brewed a cup from my personal stock. Different source, different grade, different blend entirely. I sat on my cot and held the cup under my nose and breathed in the steam and waited for the familiar notes to tell me everything was normal. The metallic note was there, faint, almost imperceptible, but there like a whisper in a quiet room. I put the cup down. I did not drink it. I sat in my HAB unit and stared at the wall and thought about what it meant if the contamination wasn't limited to Solvon Prime. If it was in our blended stock, too, if it was in everything, I should have gone to sleep. I should have filed another report and let the system handle it. I should have done what everyone else in the Imperium does when they notice something wrong. Nothing. Nothing is the safest response. Nothing keeps you employed. Nothing keeps you alive. But I was a blend assayer, and the one thing a blend assayer cannot do is ignore a bad taste. It's not discipline. It's not courage. It's compulsion. Once your palate registers something wrong, it won't let go. It sits in the back of your mouth like a word you can't remember, and it stays there until you either identify it or go mad. I did not go mad, but I came close enough to see the border. The next morning, I started pulling records, not because anyone asked me to, not because it was my job. A blend assayer's responsibilities end at the tasting cup. We evaluate, we grade, we certify. What happens upstream in the procurement chain, in the agri-world fields, in the processing plants and the bulk carrier holds and the distribution warehouses, that belongs to other departments, other people, other desks. But I had access to the Compact's trade archive because part of my job involved comparing current stock against historical profiles, and the trade archive contained shipping manifests, origin certificates, processing logs, and tithe compliance records going back decades. I started with Sulvon Prime. The world had been classified as an agri-world for at least 800 standard years, designated under Administratum Code as a primary yield agricultural producer with a focus on stimulant crop cultivation. In plainer language, the entire planet existed to grow Recaff leaf. That was its tithe. That was its purpose. That was the reason Sulvon Prime had a population at all. The last census, dated 11 years prior, listed the planet's total population at 62 million souls, nearly all of them engaged in agricultural labor. 62 million people spread across a world roughly the size of Terra, doing nothing but growing, harvesting, and processing Recaff leaf for shipment to the hive worlds and forge worlds and guard supply depots of the Corvalin subsector and beyond. I want you to understand what that looks like because the Administratum's propaganda reels don't show it. They show green fields under blue skies, workers with brown skin and honest smiles, baskets overflowing with rich dark leaves. They show children playing between rows of hip-high bushes. They show sunsets that look like paintings from old Terra. They show everything except the truth. An agri-world dedicated to stimulant crop production is a chemical wasteland. The leaf requires specific soil conditions, acidic, nitrogen-rich, heavily mineralized. Natural soil can sustain perhaps 3 or 4 growing cycles before it's exhausted. The Imperium doesn't have time for 3 or 4 growing cycles. The Imperium needs continuous yield. So the soil is saturated with industrial fertilizers, nitrate compounds so concentrated that the topsoil turns orange and the air above the fields becomes a haze of ammonia and phosphate particulate that will burn your lungs raw in minutes. The workers wear filtration masks. The workers always wear filtration masks. After a few years, many of them have the masks surgically bonded to their faces because the skin around the seal line has been corroded by chemical exposure and won't hold a standard fit anymore. They breathe through the mask. They eat through a feeding port in the mask. Some of them die with the mask on because by the time the medical servitors get to them, the mask has fused with the underlying bone structure and removing it would kill them faster than whatever else is already killing them. The fields stretch from horizon to horizon, not fields as you might picture them, with boundaries and hedgerows and paths between plots. Endless, unbroken expanses of dark-leafed bushes planted in rows so tight that a human body can barely fit between them. The bushes themselves are not natural. They were gene-tailored millennia ago to maximize leaf production, short, dense, with leaves the size of a man's hand, so thick with alkaloid compounds that they're mildly toxic to the touch if you handle them without gloves. The harvest is done by hand because the mechanicus has determined that mechanical harvesting damages the leaf structure and reduces stimulant yield by 4%. And 4% across an entire planet's output is a number large enough to trigger an administratum audit. So the workers pick by hand. 62 million people picking leaves by hand, 16 hours a day, in air that will dissolve their lung tissue if their filtration fails. That's an agri-world. That's where your morning cup comes from. I pulled the shipping manifests for the last 2 years of Solvon Prime deliveries to our compact. Volume was consistent. Timing was consistent. Chemical certification was consistent. On paper, nothing had changed. But I noticed something in the origin certificates that I hadn't been looking for. The processing facility codes. Every shipment of raw leaf stock from an agri-world carries a processing facility code, a string of numbers and letters that identifies which on-planet facility handled the initial drying, curing, and packaging of the leaf. Solvon Prime had, according to the records, 17 registered processing facilities. Over the past 2 years, all 17 had continued to ship product. But in the last 8 months, a disproportionate volume, nearly 40% of total output, was coming from a single facility. Processing Station Tertius Novum, located in the equatorial growing zone. That was unusual. Processing facilities on agri-worlds are distributed across the planet to minimize transport time from field to station because the leaf begins to degrade the moment it's picked. You don't route 40% of a planet's output through a single facility unless something has changed at the other 16. I checked the individual station outputs. They were all still reporting. They were all still shipping. But their volumes had decreased, each by a small percentage, and the aggregate of those small decreases was being absorbed by Tertius Novum. It was as if the planet was slowly, quietly consolidating its production into one facility, and doing it in a way that the overall numbers remained steady enough that nobody in procurement would notice. Nobody except someone who was looking. And I was looking, because my tongue had told me to look.
What's the probability that a cult is behind it? The cult is behind it, infecting the Recaff, one of the most important drinks in the Imperium. Anyway.
I took my findings to Hannock. He listened with the expression of a man who has been interrupted during something more important and is being patient about it. When I finished, he folded his hands on his desk and said the thing that I already knew he would say. The spectrometer cleared it, Kelun. The spectrometer tests for 217 markers. There are thousands of compounds in a standard Recaff infusion that aren't on the marker list. Because they don't matter, the marker list covers everything that affects consumer safety, stimulant dosage, and regulatory compliance. If a compound isn't on the list, it's because the Bureau of Consumable Standards has determined that it's irrelevant. Or because they don't know it exists. That was the wrong thing to say. Hannock's expression shifted from patient to something colder. The Bureau of Consumable Standards was an administratum body, suggesting that the administratum had missed something was not technically heretical, but it was the kind of statement that could make your life very uncomfortable if it reached the wrong ears. File a supplementary report if you want, he said. Note your palette observations, reference the processing facility variance, send it to procurement, and let them decide if it warrants an inquiry. That's the process, Kellen. Follow the process. I filed the supplementary report. I sent it to procurement. And then I did something that was not the process at all. There was a man named Mekel Torve who worked the loading docks on level 12 in the lower commercial district where the bulk carriers unloaded their cargo into the compact's warehousing network. Mekel was not an assayer, he was a cargo handler, a man who spent his shifts moving crates and drums and pressurized containers from freight lifts to storage bays. He was also, unofficially, the kind of person who could acquire things. Not contraband, not exactly. More like parallel procurement. If you needed a sample of something that hadn't been through official channels, Mekel could get it for you. He had contacts on the bulk carriers, void ratings, and deckhands who understood that a small amount of cargo occasionally went missing in transit, and that the insurance adjustments were cheaper than the bribes required to make people care. I found Mikkel in a drinking hole on level 13, a narrow establishment called the Rust Cup, which served exactly one beverage. Grade Quartus Recaff, heated to just below boiling to mask the taste, served in dented tin cups that had been passed through so many hands that the Imperial Aquila stamped into the base had been worn smooth. I sat down across from him and told him what I needed. Raw leaf, I said, unprocessed, from Solvon Prime, specifically from the equatorial growing zone, as close to field harvest condition as you can get. Mikkel looked at me the way a man looks at someone who's just asked him to do something that's either very simple or very dangerous, and he's trying to figure out which. Raw leaf costs more than processed. Nobody ships raw leaf. By the time it leaves the planet, it's already been through primary processing. I know. That's why I need it raw, before processing station Tertius Novum touches it. He took a sip of his Recaff, grimaced, and put the cup down.
Yeah.
Mikkel was not a man who appreciated the finer points of flavor. He drank Recaff the way most people in the mid-hive drank it, as a delivery mechanism for stimulant, nothing more. But he looked at my face, and whatever he saw there was apparently convincing enough. 2 weeks. He drained the cup. And it'll cost you. It cost me more than a month's wages for a small sealed container of unprocessed leaf stock smuggled off a Solvon-bound cargo shuttle by a void rating who probably thought he was facilitating some kind of exotic drug trade. When the container arrived, I took it to the assay hall after hours, when the other shift had gone and I had the tasting stations to myself. I broke the seal, and the smell hit me immediately. Recaff leaf, in its raw state, has a sharp vegetal aroma, green and acrid, like fresh-cut vegetation soaked in something chemical. The leaves from Solvon had always carried a heavier mineral tone, reflective of the planet's soil composition. But this sample was different. The leaves were darker than I expected, almost black at the veination, with a faintly iridescent sheen on the undersurface that I had never seen on any leaf from any world in 22 years of assaying, and the smell had that note in it, the metallic note, stronger here in the raw leaf than it had been in the processed blend. Not a processing artifact, not something introduced in the curing or the packaging or the blending. Something in the leaf itself, growing in the leaf. I prepared the sample. Standard protocol, adjusted for raw leaf. 15 grams instead of 10, coarser grind, same water temperature. The resulting infusion was...
I don't think that's smart, drinking raw agricultural product or something. Because people in the provinces do it all the time, but there's a reason for processing. Like, that's the equivalent of why you should always wash your vegetables first or something. Wash your rice or wash your vegetables first before cooking them, for the simple reason that it's gone through several stages of transport that it might have picked up something you don't want to. So yeah.
Darker than normal, and when I held the cup under the hall's lumen strip, I could see a faint amber turbidity that moved through the liquid like something alive. Not sediment. Sediment sinks. This moved laterally, slowly, as if it had somewhere to be. I tasted. And what my palate told me made me put the cup down and sit very still for a long time. The metallic note wasn't a contaminant. It wasn't a chemical byproduct of over-fertilization or soil depletion, or any of the 100 mundane explanations that a reasonable person would reach for. It was organic. It was biological. It tasted the way living tissue tastes when it's been broken down into its constituent compounds and absorbed into a plant's vascular system. I knew this taste. Every blend assayer knows it, because it shows up in the cheapest grades of Recaff when the organic substrate used as filler isn't properly filtered. We call it ghost flesh. The taste of something that used to be alive, processed beyond recognition but not beyond detection. Not if you know what you're looking for. The Recaff leaf from Solvon Prime tasted like it had been grown in something that used to be human. I rinsed my mouth. I sat in the assay hall. The lumens hummed above me, and somewhere below, in the deep levels of the hive, 47 million people were waking up and reaching for their morning cup, and every single cup contained a trace of whatever I had just tasted, diluted and processed and blended into invisibility, but present, there, always there, in every sip. I did not file a report. Not this time. Reports go into the system, and the system had already shown me that it didn't want to know. Instead, I started asking questions that blend assayers are not supposed to ask. Questions about soil composition and agricultural chemistry and the precise nature of the organic substrate that constitutes 88% of every cup of grade tertius Recaff consumed across the Imperium. Questions that led me places I did not want to go. The organic substrate. Let me tell you about the organic substrate, because it's the part of the Recaff story that nobody talks about. The Administratum's Bureau of Consumable Standards defines organic substrate as any carbon-based filler material derived from processed biological sources suitable for incorporation into consumable products at concentrations determined by regulatory standard. That's the official definition. It is masterfully vague. Carbon-based filler material. Processed biological sources. The words are designed to mean everything and nothing simultaneously, to provide legal cover for a practice that has been standard across the Imperium for longer than anyone can remember. On most hive worlds, organic substrate comes from two primary sources. The first is agricultural waste. Stalks, roots, husks, and other non-edible plant matter left over from food production, ground into powder and processed into a neutral filler. This is the organic substrate that appears in the Administratum's educational materials. Clean, simple, almost wholesome. Plant waste recycled into a useful product. Nothing wrong with that. The second source is not in the educational materials. On a hive world, biological waste is a resource. It has to be. When you have 47 million people generating biological waste every day, you either process it or you drown in it. The waste processing plants in the lower hive take in everything: sewage, medical waste, industrial biological runoff, and the dead especially. In the mid-hive, when someone dies, the body is collected by the mortuary division and sent to the lower-level processing plants, where it is rendered down into its constituent organic components. Some of this rendered material goes into the nutrient recycling system that feeds the hydroponic farms in the hive's agricultural sublevels. Some of it goes into structural compounds, because organic polymers bonded with plasteel make excellent insulation. And some of it, after sufficient processing and chemical treatment, enters the food chain as organic substrate. This is not a secret. Not exactly. It's one of those truths that everyone knows and nobody says out loud. The Recaff you drink contains traces of recycled biological material that may, at some point in its processing chain, have been part of a human being. The concentrations are minute. The processing removes anything recognizable. By the time it reaches your cup, it is, chemically speaking, just carbon and nitrogen and trace minerals, completely inert, completely safe, completely legal. The Bureau of Consumable Standards has certified it 1,000 times over. But here's the thing. That familiar background note, the one that assayers call ghost flesh, is present in processed blends where recycled substrate is used as filler. I know what it tastes like. I've been tasting it my entire career. What I found in the raw leaf from Solvon Prime was not ghost flesh from the filler. It was ghost flesh from the leaf itself. The plant had absorbed it. Whatever was in the...
I mean, it would have been, because here's the thing, right? If the leaf was processed, then, the ghost flesh, quote unquote, could have gotten in during the processing stage. But here, what he's saying is that it came directly from the leaf for some reason.
Soil of Solvon Prime, it had entered the leaf through the root system and become part of the plant's biological structure.
There we go.
The contamination wasn't in the processing.
It's like what? It's like microplastics in our bloodstream. Anyways,
it was in the agriculture. And if it was in the agriculture, it was in every single leaf that grew in that soil, not just the ones that ended up as grade Tertius filler, but the ones that became grade Secundus blends and Emperor Help Us, even the ones that were sold as grade Primus single origin product. I needed to know what was in the soil. Going to Solvon Prime myself was not an option. A blend assayer does not have the authority, the resources, or the clearance to travel off-world on a personal investigation into agricultural chemistry. I was a mid-hive tradesman with a sensitive tongue. The void between worlds was not meant for people like me. But the compact was sending a procurement delegation to Solvon Prime in 6 weeks, a routine inspection visit to verify source compliance and negotiate the next cycle's supply contracts. The delegation would include 2 procurement agents, a logistics coordinator, and, under standard protocol, 1 assayer to evaluate current harvest quality on site. Normally, the on-site assayer was selected by rotation, and the rotation said it was Darva Kellich's turn. Darva was competent, thorough, and entirely uninterested in anything beyond the tasting cup. She would go to Solvon, taste the samples the processing stations put in front of her, certify them, and come home. She would not notice the metallic note because she wasn't looking for it. She would not ask about the soil because that wasn't her job. I traded shifts with Darva, told her I wanted the travel credit for my record, which was plausible enough. She was happy to stay in Hive Morin. Nobody wants to spend 3 weeks in the void and another 2 on an agri-world breathing filtered air through a bonded mask. I submitted the rotation change to Hannick, who approved it without comment. He had stopped asking me about the Solvon deviation. He had stopped asking me about anything. He just looked at me sometimes across the assay hall with an expression I couldn't read. Not hostile, not concerned. Flat. Like the expression on the face of a man who's decided something about you but hasn't told you what. The voyage to Solvon Prime took 19 days aboard a bulk carrier called the Anvil of Sufficient Grace, a mass conveyor 12 kilometers long designed to haul agricultural product from the agri-worlds to the hive clusters. The ship was almost empty on the outbound trip, carrying only the delegation and a skeleton.
Hold on, you guys. Hold on. I can hear a vehicle incoming. Guys, something has come up. Hold on, let's mark this story, and so we can pick it up 4354. So we can pick it up where we left off. We might paint again this week because I have to. Alright? And by that time, we might actually get to some of our cavalry units. I'm honestly excited to paint this particular one. As you can see, it's a hedge knight actually. Because what we do sometimes, especially if there are officer types, we break down the box, and the hedge knight box under Sif is that each and every one of those boxes can either serve as a glory seeker or as a fortune seeker. And anyways, there was this one kid in our group. It's not really a kid. Basically, he's already in his mid-20s. He's really relatively young, and he said, because he's a Night's Watch player, and what he wants to do is that, what he wants to do is that his headcanon for one of his fortune seekers is that he's a brother of the Night's Watch that is that secretly competes in tournaments as a hedge knight. And I told him that, you know what, you just literally came out with the plot of Nacho Libre, which was quote unquote based on real life, because he was like born in like 2001 or something. And the thing is, Nacho Libre came out in 2005, or was it 2004? Anyways, let's paint again this week, and you guys, regular schedule because this one was unscheduled. I'll see you guys later this week. All right, again, like it if you do, and subscribe. Emperor knows we need it. Okay, bye.